The Patriot Act, turning citizens into suspects since 2001. The Kate Daly Show starts now.
Many people say, well, I have a passport. I'm already in a federal database. Why is being in the Real ID database different than being in the passport database? Well, how do you explain that, Twyla?
We are in the database with the passport if we're going to fly outside of this country. You don't have to fly out of this country, so you don't have to get a passport. But now with Real ID, you would, unless you want to be in the other system. What's the purpose? For a passport, the purpose is to get you in and out of the country, in and out of the country. You got a passport book. That passport book is not going to become your ID that you have to, take everywhere, because it's got a singular purpose, in and out of the government. The purpose here is to create an internal passport for everything that you might do inside this government, and for it to be tracked, for it to be controlled, for it to be all under a facial recognition system as you walk around in the world doing your business, as they create this facial recognition system, and to know where you are, and then to know who you're with, because it'll be digital and they'll have it, right? They'll know everyone you're with and where you're going and what you're doing. And then it'll be tied to your money. So you have to look at the purpose of this federal ID.
I love that quote. That is the difference. So people go, passport, Real ID, why, purpose, what's going on? There you go. There's your answer. And that was Catherine Austin Fitts in the beginning of that. Welcome to Wednesday's show. We're live, and I've got Midwest Melissa and Susan today. And I just wanted to let you guys know tomorrow's show, I'm going to be covering what's coming in the future with some rentals, things that we rent and not buy. I'm also going to be covering what Larry Fink, the Fink, admitted to at Davos. That's very interesting because it has to do with power utilities. Okay. I will talk about that tomorrow. I will also I'm going to show you a clip that talks about disinformation. I'm going to give you a perfect example of what disinformation looks like from I say that in air quotes because I have to, ex-CIA guy. So I'm going to actually show you what it looks like to do that. Okay. And so much more on tomorrow's show. And I so appreciate Midwest Melissa for being here. So thank you, Midwest Melissa. We got a lot to talk about. You're living in in Indiana, so we'll have to start there. How are you?
Oh, fine. And I have to just say, Hoosiers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was exciting. Made me want to watch the movie again. So tell us, what's it like living in Frenzyville of Indiana, Hoosier territory?
Well, there's some things you got to know about Hoosiers.
Okay.
One of them is Hoosiers are very, they're not likely to brag and really be outrageous. So it was all kept kind of, everybody was really happy, and the frenzy was starting to build a little bit as they got closer and closer to the national, to the football playoffs and the national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like the whole state was holding its breath. Are they going to make it? Are they going to make it? And for me, it was very interesting to listen as they got closer and closer to the political commentary, not the political, but the sports commentary. Like, oh, well, they're not that good. They're not going to be able to take Ohio State. And then they did. Oh, they're not. Oregon is much better than them. Oh.
Yeah.
And then coming into the national game, well, Indiana, they don't know what Miami's really going to be like to play them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw some amazing football, really amazing. And I'm not altogether that much of a football fan, really, but it was hard not to be caught up with the whole rest of the state. So under ordinary circumstances, Indiana would be carved into little pockets of people who support Michigan, people who support Notre Dame, people who support Purdue, people who support IU. And coming into that national championship, the entire state became Hoosier fans. Everybody.
Interesting.
I have seen more IU merch on people this week than I have ever seen before. I thought this was really interesting, and I didn't know this until just a day or so ago, that IU has more. They have the largest alumni network of any college in the country.
Hmm.
They have about 805,000 alumni living right now. They're scattered over 125 countries, and about half of them are inside of Indiana, but the other half are everywhere. They're in every state, they're all over the world.
Hmm.
So it was really, I heard Mendoza, the quarterback, talking about the team, and he was
Mhm.
saying, you know, we have not been the highest profile players. We came into the season kind of underrated and flying under the radar. And so the sports announcer immediately goes, so you consider yourself outcasts? And he
Right.
goes, no, we're good football players. Seriously, we're good football players. We were just underrated.
Hmm.
And so anyway, it's been a fun thing. It's
Okay.
been
Good
really
for you
fun
guys.
to be a part of that and to take it on the
Mhm.
chin over and
Mhm.
over. Indiana is absolutely 100% flyover country.
Yeah. So watch the movie again. So
Well,
I
yeah.
love the movie. I love that movie, actually. It's one of my favorite sports movies.
What,
but,
Hoosiers? Hoosiers?
Yeah, I love Hoosiers.
Well, that's a basketball movie, right?
Yes, I know.
And that is what, and by the way, here's a little trivia for you.
Uh-huh.
50 years ago was the last time IU had a wire-to-wire undefeated season, but it was basketball.
Mm,
So this is the bookend to that.
yeah,
So
very cool.
very
very
cool.
cool.
It's been very
Yeah.
fun. And
Okay.
I'm not ordinarily a big IU fan,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just hard not to be this round.
Excited. That's cute.
Yeah, hard not to be.
Well, we've got winter coming. Remember, we talked about huge winters. We talked about this actually in the fall, that there was a possibility we'd get some ginormo winters coming. Talk about the weather, exploding trees. I want to hear about all this.
Yeah, this is loads of fun too. So we have had a really kind of what's the word?
Mm-hmm.
Schizophrenic, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Winter. It'll go up to 60, 58 degrees, and then 4
Yeah.
days later it's 0.
Right.
So we are in a cold zone right now, it is mid-January. It's supposed to be cold. This is not the coldest it's ever been here, but they are predicting there's this big winter storm coming, and apparently we're all watching. See, weather watching is a sport in the
Mhm.
Midwest,
Right.
so we're all watching the weather track.
Okay.
And the snow belt is going to be south of us. So farther, the Midwest that's farther south, for example, like Missouri, Southern
Mhm.
Illinois, Southern Indiana, even
Yeah.
Southern Ohio, Kentucky, that whole zone across there, all the way to the coast is supposed to be getting big snow. But they said, depending on how far north that swings,
Mhm.
we could get snow and then super cold. So our prediction here for the weekend is wind chills of -25.
Jeez.
We are not the worst off.
Hmm.
Places like northern Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
northern Wisconsin, not even northern Wisconsin, but
Mhm.
and it couldn't. Nothing kills a riot like -60 weather.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
predict that Minneapolis may be kind of quieter this week.
Even our paid protesters can't stand for that. So,
well,
yeah.
nobody can stand for that. It's
Yeah.
really brutally
So-
cold. And the tag on the back of all of this is
Uh-huh.
hilarious.
Okay.
They're warning, the meteorologists are they're warning in these zones that are super cold,
Yeah.
there's the possibility of exploding trees.
Okay. Wait. Exploding trees.
Yeah, I don't know. I really cannot tell you what the science behind that might be. And I'm
Mm.
thinking, I'm guessing that there are
Mhm.
places in Alaska and in Canada that get routinely cold weather, pretty cold,
Yeah.
and pretty cold wind chill.
Yes.
Do these trees explode everywhere?
Why
Is this the first time I'm hearing about
I
exploding?
don't
trees?
know. I don't know. They always have to have something, though. I mean, it's kind of like, what was that cyclone? What was the term?
Derecho? The derechos?
No, the
Oh.
term they were using.
Oh, a bomb cyclone.
Yes, a bomb cyclone. So they always have to come up with something new to kind of draw attention. But this one is supposed to be probably maybe grid down. I was just on the East Coast ish Midwest last weekend. And so Arkansas, so Pennsylvania. So what are all the states? Louisiana. There's a ton of, there's like 28 states supposedly affected by this. Yes.
Yeah. My favorite meme so far was a big salt truck. And they had a giant, they had it was photoshopped, obviously. But they had a giant container of Cajun seasoning that they were putting on the roads in Louisiana to keep ice off.
Oh wow.
That's
desperate.
It's a meme. It's a meme.
Okay. I was gonna say
it's just so hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Texas, I think there's just a whole so half
all
the country
the way to the coast.
they're saying almost 200 million people affected. And so this will get interesting for sure. And I do always worry about grid going down because people panic, they don't know what to do. This is what they're saying in the mainstream is the storm's arrival is expected to bring dangerously cold Arctic air. We're talking, so last weekend when I was out there, it felt like 6 degrees. I mean, it was cold and I wasn't used to it because I'm living in the desert in a state that's not going to be affected by all of this. And we're at like 53 today. Okay. So totally different. And we went back there and it was cold. It was damn cold. So I to think it could get worse. Wow. So people are really trying to like prepare for it. And if you know anybody that hasn't heard, I can't imagine them not hearing. Airport delays, flight cancellations, closures, freezing temperatures, pipes bursting, keep that trickle on, make sure you have enough food, like food and water. And I mean, all of that. And especially if grid goes down, have candles, have some ways to light your house. You know, there's just so many things. This is when you pull out all your survivor gear. You know what I'm saying? Like it says Memphis is, here's a message coming in. Memphis is expecting 2 inches of ice, which power lives, down for weeks. So there's a lot coming our way. Now, when I say that, the media always hypes, but I do know that we have these kinds of spells, right? So I'm not saying it's hyped. I'm just saying they do have a propensity for that, for hyping it to a level of crazy, but
you cannot lose
in being prepared. Yep.
Right.
Yep. I'm glad we're not flying out there. We were supposed to fly out this weekend, but I'm glad we actually went last weekend because I'd probably cancel my flight if I was looking at traveling.
Here's some of the fun stuff. You know, those kind of minus 25 or minus 60, whatever that is, it really truly is dangerous. Yeah. And I watch, my son has got me going to a gym with him every night. So he hops in my warm car in a pair of shorts because we're going to the gym. And I'm like, but it's really, really cold outside. And that at those temperatures, it can be dangerously cold in just a few minutes. And we're a group of people, I think culturally now, we're so used to being in the warm,
right,
that we don't think it's as threatening as it really is. So to have food in your home, to have a plan. I noticed that I was just at our public library just this morning, and they had big signs up. They're a warming center for anybody that needs to be there. So pay attention. This is a moment where those of us that, if we can help, if we have a warm house and our power is on and our neighbors is not, give them a hand, lend them a hand.
For sure. Just be prepared and just have extra candles. A lot of people just don't prepare. They always think it's just they're not going to need anything. And if a grid goes down, which would not shock me at all, we're going to have issues. We're going to have problems because we're in winter.
I'll share this very fun tip of mine. And I showed it to some kids that I am with frequently.
Yeah.
If you take a flashlight and shine it through like a milk jug full of water, it will light your whole table. It magnifies, the water will magnify that light. And it's an amazing thing to do. And a flashlight's a lot safer than a candle.
Yes.
If, be careful with candles, be careful with, have a plan for cooking and, be sensible. Don't be thinking that, your charcoal grill is good inside, because it probably isn't.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's probably some not thinking that goes on when all this kind of stuff goes down. But hopefully, probably the elderly worry most about them. They're unlimited. A lot of them are unlimited incomes, and so they're not usually going to prepare as much. Probably not spending the kind of money other people are spending. So, yep. And so LB on Facebook says we're now expecting up to 15 inches with freezing rain to finish it off. Yeah. So.
Well, I
Stay
will
cozy.
say this is the typical
Yeah.
Midwestern attitude.
Mhm.
It's not the cold that gets you, it's the wet.
It's the wet. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
wet. And that's what made it seem so cold to you when
Mhm.
you came east
Yeah.
and you got dry. It's the
Yeah.
same in the heat. Dry heat, dry
Yeah.
cold is different than that wet,
Mhm.
slushy stuff. That's one thing. I think we're going to have very dry. Well, we don't know. We don't know where the storm track is going to go. They're still
Yeah.
talking about it, but I
This-
think the worst of this storm is going south of me, but that
Right.
doesn't mean that we're not going to be impacted. I think the whole East, the Midwest and the whole East. And speaking of Hoosiers, I
Mhm.
think they wanted to have a parade to
Mhm.
celebrate. I hope they have the sense enough to delay that a little bit. They can do something in their field
Yeah.
house and
I mean,
get the same effect.
ridiculous. And also a generator. Please get just a little generator just in case, you just never know. I have an actual fireplace in my home. So we've kept that. In fact, we were tempted to get rid of it a few years back. Because I wanted a gas fireplace, but no, we kept it because I know what they're going to do to utilities later on, and I'll cover that in tomorrow's show. I know what the plan is. And so I'm like, no, I will keep my fireplace. Thank you very much. And also, I have also an electric fireplace that can heat up 3 rooms in my home. So you can put that on a generator. There's things that you can do on a generator. And so we just kind of have to think outside the box a little bit and think about the future and don't get rid of things that will help you later on, because there are some plans that came out of Davos that are pretty horrific for where we go with utilities, and they're going to affect everybody. So I'll cover it tomorrow, but I'm telling you, at least prepare for this, at least nudge somebody to prepare for this, and maybe they will. Who
Well,
knows? Get through it.
can we just step out on a different foot there?
Yeah.
And I want to talk
Okay.
because it's related to all of this.
Sure.
And many people, myself included, in the
Mhm.
Midwest, all of us struggle against the cold and the unpleasantness of winter.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how many people got their New Year's resolutions, and it's time to check in on that
Yeah.
score. How
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah.
We're halfway through the month. Let's keep it going.
Mm.
But I took a different approach to winter this year, and
Okay.
I better knock on wood that I hope it's going well. And it's kind of the big buzzword right now, the hygge stuff from the Scandinavian countries. And
Okay.
if you haven't, cozy is just the biggest buzzword right now. Everything, they want everybody to be cozy, make it a cozy time. But
Mhm.
so I looked at a couple of books about all this, and I decided this year my approach to winter was going to be different.
Okay.
And my approach to winter was this. Number one, it takes a lot of fortitude to take it on. So congratulations. I'm going to congratulate myself for even being tough enough to say, yeah, I got stuff to do. I got places to go. I'm not going to let the winter stop me.
Okay.
But the other thing that I've done this year is I have adopted this mindset that said, winter is a time when the whole earth just rests. Like, I look outside,
Sure.
the trees don't have any leaves on
Right.
them.
Right.
They're just resting. They're
Okay.
feeding their roots right now. They're resting. They're renewing their strength. They're getting ready for spring.
Uh-huh.
And it's okay for me to do the same. It's okay
Okay.
for me to grab a book and put on my fuzzy socks
Yeah.
and sit down with a cup of hot cocoa and just read a book.
Yes.
That's okay. It's a good
Yeah.
thing to do.
It's okay. Yeah.
It's a good thing to appreciate when you're stuck in the house because it's 25
Mhm. Mhm.
below
Mhm.
outside.
Yeah.
Appreciate the family that you have, and take time to have a family
Well-
dinner together and savor the moment.
So
And-
you're talking about a seasonal rest, and then also you could kind of
Yes.
correlate this to a Sabbath rest. Every week you're supposed to kind of take the
yeah.
Sabbath and go, let's chill. You know, you don't need to be entrepreneur of the week. You don't need to be, doing, just chill out, right? Same thing,
Well,
which I
and
love.
I have embraced two things that are different for me this year.
Okay.
One was I bought a membership at a health club in which I have the membership, but I can take a guest with me anytime for free,
Oh, nice.
as often as every day if I want.
Okay. All right.
So my son, who loves to go to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
he said, well, I'll just get a membership. I said, don't do that. Don't do that. I'll just take you as my guest every time. And then you don't have to pay. I don't want to have to pay for your membership too. And it's amazing how motivational he can be. He just talked to me. I just came home from running some errands and he came in, he goes, now we're going to the gym tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I really don't feel good. I don't really want to go. I don't want to you can go and just use the Hydra bed. It's this lovely massage bed. And I thought, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah,
I can go
yeah.
and do that. But there's nothing like that kind of connection to kind of get you out the door. And
I
it's
agree.
gotten me, I'm trying to think, in the 2 weeks that I've had the membership, I think we've only missed 2 days of
Nice.
going,
Okay.
which I can feel myself every day going, oh, I don't want to go. And then he
Mhm.
blows through the door and says, we're going, right? We're going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess we have to. And when I come home, I feel better. That is also part of that Scandinavian approach to winter, is that every day you should do something physical, something to get yourself out of yourself. But yeah, it can be. So I guess what I'm trying to say is my new approach, instead of just moping around going, oh, everybody's got the flu and it's just so miserable. The day is gray.
Mhm.
If the day is gray outside, I look out and I think, oh, this would be a great day for me to read my book.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole different mindset.
Right.
And I'm hoping to hold on to that
Mhm.
through maybe mid-March.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
that's how long
Well,
I've got to be ready. And it's been up and down. The days that do
mhm.
feel kind of sad and I'm just like, oh, it's only January 5th, it's
Yes.
only January 7th. And then the next day I'll feel like, well, I can do this. I can do this.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to bring that little spark of
Yep.
winter hope. I'm trying to learn to love the
Mhm.
winter for what it is.
Can I just tell you the one thing that has been helping me? And I know everyone's going to probably roll their eyes at this, but because I mention it a lot, but actually the Cardio Miracle, I'm sipping on it all day. So this delivers vitamin D in huge
Oh.
amounts. And it also, I used to talk about balance of nature all the time, but this is like, oh my gosh, 20 times the fruits and vegetables of balance of nature. So you're delivering balance, you're delivering fruits and vegetables on steroids, vitamin D and oxygen, right? Nitric oxide to your system and minerals to your system. This is the one thing getting me through right now because I've had energy every day. I'm fasting every other day right now and doing a whole lot of things to kind of just, make sure my health is good. But this has been my saving grace. I'm not kidding. It's huge. And I tell everyone about it. My son was just here. I was just telling my son, where's your cardio? Because it's so good for the body, the vitamin D. See, we're not out getting that vitamin D. And so you've got to have a source to get it. This is much better than taking a supplement. So anyway, cardiomiracle.com/Kate, go get it. I'm not kidding. It's helping me immensely or I wouldn't tell everybody about it. So there you go.
I think there's two aspects
Mhm.
of winter survival. And one of them
Yes.
is physical, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We have to, and I'm doing the same by going to the gym and
Mhm.
trying to be a little bit more active. I'm not
Mhm.
even focusing on any particular goal.
Right.
I'm not saying, well, I need to lose 10 pounds or I need to do this or I need to
I
do that.
do.
I do need to lose 10 pounds. I need to lose a little more than 10
I don't know
pounds.
what I did over
but-
the holidays, but I was making a little too much like praline Chex Mix. So just
Well,
a lot of sugar.
I am deliberately not using
Yeah.
that as my motivation.
Mhm.
I'm saying this is good for me just
Yeah.
to go and do this.
Yeah.
And so when our bodies feel better, we know that our mental health feels better. Too.
Yes.
But
Yes.
the other thing, I think we really do have to have that shift in mindset. It's something, it's
Yeah.
taken me forever to
It's a good
learn
point.
this, that a day off is not a bad thing. And by a day
Mhm.
off, I mean, you can have a day
Mhm.
where you just like, I just want to sit and I want to watch old classic movies on TV,
Mhm.
and I'm not
Mhm.
going to feel guilty about it. It's
Don't.
it's a recharge moment. It's a moment to just be at peace and to
Hey, I'm with
enjoy
you.
something. Now, I can't do that every single day,
Yeah.
but I can do it some of
I
the time.
I did that on Monday. I took that holiday. I normally never even look at it as a holiday, the Martin Luther King Day. I just never even it never registers with me as a holiday, kind of like President's Day. I mean, President's Day is like a holiday. You take that holiday, right? Well, I took that day and I had just returned from a long trip. A lot happened last weekend and that I'll talk about as some other point. But I was kind of laughing because I was just so I just needed a day just to do nothing. And my husband, he took the day off, but he was busy. And then what's funny is he's like, "So what'd you do today?" I'm like, "Nothing. I did nothing." And I'm all right with it. Like it's fine. Let 24 hours go by where you do absolutely nothing. So it's super
Well,
fun.
I think in our culture,
Yeah.
many of us are raised to believe that there's
Mhm.
something wrong with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And there isn't anything
Yeah.
wrong with that. What there is something wrong with doing only that
Right, right.
every day.
Oh, yeah. I
There's
mean, I'm not a
nothing
slug,
wrong.
but
Right. There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with having,
Mhm.
and even if the reason
Yeah.
you're having that day off is
Mhm.
because some days I get up and I just don't feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And frankly, I woke up this morning and I told my husband, I said, the storm is on its way.
Yes.
And he goes,
Yes.
"Why do you think that?" And I said, "My head hurts, all
Yeah.
my joints hurt, my feet hurt, my hips hurt. I've got a horrible headache behind my eyes." I said, "How are you feeling?" And he just had all this surgery, right? He goes,
Mhm.
"Yeah," he goes, "I've got a headache today too." And I
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, we both have headaches because the weather's coming in."
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it's on its way. And I'm okay with, like, I should just, I've talked to you about this before. I'm getting in the habit of just
Mhm.
thanking my body for, like, thank you for warning me about that. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's a good thing. And I
Oh.
think our mindset
Mhm.
is so meaningful.
Yeah.
Somebody just at church on Sunday was reminding me about, we talked about this forever ago, the study that the Japanese
Mhm.
researcher did about water,
Mhm.
and how the way in which he set up a lab and he talked to various containers of water in different ways, and then
Mhm.
froze the water into crystals,
Okay.
and water that was talked to kindly froze in these beautiful patterns. The water that was spoken to hatefully
Mhm.
froze in these ugly patterns, like all random and chaotic, and the other
Mhm.
ones look like beautiful little snowflakes.
Well,
And our bodies are 68% water.
yeah.
And I think what we're holding in our head, like, "Oh, I feel so bad. I feel terrible. I feel guilty about sitting
Yes.
here watching a movie," or "I feel I should be more productive." That self-talk, I think, has an impact
Mhm.
on our physical health too. So I'm
Possibly.
trying just to say, "Hey, you know what? It's okay. I don't
Yes.
have to do any of that. I can
Yeah.
just be, this is the season of
Okay.
self-renewal, kindness, coziness.
Well,
If you want the hot cocoa with some whipped cream on top, now's the time."
now do it. You know, I
Yeah.
still want my 18-year-old ass back though. I'll tell you that much. It was good. So if my ass gets
Okay.
butt hurt over that, I guess it will. But I still
But you know,
would like it back. Just saying.
well, there's a lot of things we would like back. Self-acceptance has a role in this too. You know,
Oh man.
every now and then I
Yeah.
tell my husband, like, yeah, he's like, "I can't lift that heavy thing anymore." And I'm like, "Well, you're not 18 anymore either."
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
feel like I should. And I'm like,
Mhm.
quit thinking that.
Oh, there's so much. And
Oh.
by the way, I just had a question about fasting. I'm fasting every other day, and on the second day when I am eating healthy, I'm only eating between like 12 and 8, and that's because it can really help the body not only shed weight fast, but also you're still doing liquids when you're fasting, but it helps the body a lot to kind of re-register, got to get into a health mode. And 3-day fasting is awesome if you can do that. But sometimes when you're our age, it can mess with cortisol and hormones. And so you have to be kind of careful about what you do for different health conditions. But I'm doing it every other day. So, and I feel so much better. I can't even tell you, but I will do like an expose on that. I will kind of I'll walk people through that after about a month, and I'll tell people what it's been like too. All right. What else do you have on the docket, Melissa?
Well,
Midwest Melissa, every Wednesday.
I thought it
Mhm.
would be a really interesting thing to take a look at what has actually happened
Mm-hmm.
under RFK in Health and Human Services.
Okay.
Department of Health and Human Services.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, this is my opinion for what it's worth,
Mm-hmm.
I think RFK has been one of Trump's more successful appointees.
Okay.
He made a lot of promises on the front end, and it's taken a lot of time to deliver on some of those, as we would expect that it would. And I know very early on, I had heard or read something like he'd only been in office for like 3 weeks, and people are like, he's not doing anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's only been 3 weeks. Do you know how slow the government moves?
Yeah.
But if we look at it, he's been there for about a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And here's one encouraging thing. Albert Bourla, who's the Pfizer CEO, who's at Davos, just said that he's very, very concerned. He's concerned about the direction and what their Pfizer's new strategy is to cooperate where they can, but they are waiting for the current secretary to go away. Now, I think if Bourla says he wants RFK to go away, that RFK must be doing something right?
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled an article. It's so fun. It's from PBS News. So you know what slant they're going to have on it. But even they can't, you have to kind of read between the lines.
Government broadcasting. Yes.
Yeah. So the PBS people are very concerned that RFK has, he got rid of funding for a whole bunch of things, research projects, and there's a lot of hand wringing that the United States is going to be hobbled, and we're not going to be the global leader in scientific and health research anymore. And then you read closer, and what they're talking about is RFK shut down a lot of the vaccine research and the research leading to the production of more mRNA-based vaccines.
Okay.
I don't find that to be a bad thing.
Okay.
I don't know that I want the United States to be the leader in mRNA vaccine technology. I would like for us not to be.
Yeah.
Some other things that have happened he got rid of 10,000 employees. He just laid those off, as well as 10,000 more who took buyouts. So he's eliminated 20,000 federal employees. I think that's a positive.
Okay.
As far as if we return back to the vaccines, the CDC now no longer recommends COVID-19 vaccinations for healthy children or pregnant women. I think that's a positive. Yeah. He fired the entire 17-member CDC Vaccine Advisory Committee. All of them went, and he put people who had perspectives that were more vaccine hesitant than had ever been there before. That is also positive news. He has directed the CDC to quit saying that vaccines do not cause autism. And the article says, but he didn't supply any new evidence to support that. And I'm like, well, did he need to provide evidence when there was no evidence anyway? Do you know what I mean? Why does he have to show evidence that supports
Mhm.
that vaccines don't cause autism when all of the evidence right now points us to the direction that perhaps there is a role.
Mhm. Yeah.
The whole Tylenol thing,
Mhm.
I think was a positive move in the
Mhm.
right direction. And nobody said you can't take Tylenol. This is the whole thing. Oh my gosh, Trump said or RFK said we shouldn't use Tylenol.
Mhm.
Well, no, we shouldn't use Tylenol. That's the truth about Tylenol and all of those pain relievers. We shouldn't be
Mhm.
using as much Advil as we do either, right?
Mhm.
Ibuprofen and acetaminophen are really not great for our health.
Mhm.
And we're taking them, popping them like candy. And I think it
Right.
might have raised consciousness to a lot of people that maybe we should deal with underlying health concerns before we just grab
Mhm.
whatever's handy.
I think when it comes to the government as a whole, my stand on that is that no matter what is done, no matter what is done, and this goes on for 100 years, is that people will be able to say some things that will be attractive to the chorus, depending on who the chorus is, whether it's on the right or whether it's on the left.
Right.
I don't think that RFK will be allowed to turn HHS and turn it inside out and eliminate it and say, obviously it's unconstitutional. There's so much about it that is so unconstitutional. It drives me insane. So we're never going to get to the root or the heart of anything. I think he'll bring things up that hit the public that a lot of people that actually understand health will be cheering. I just think that government will never, ever be allowed. So sometimes when the conversation is, it's kind of like on Trump right now, as Trump had a successful first year, is the conversation in the media right now. But really and truly, I think the conversation should always be, what is the deep state doing to further its goals by not getting us out or ridding us of the things that that should be? So government grows, even though we say government shouldn't, but government grows and people still cheer. So it's crazy because I think there's things that RFK understands about health that he has brought to the forefront. That's a good thing. He will not be allowed by the deep state to go after the roots and the knowledge and the pharma aspect and the CDC as he could with the knowledge that he does have, because you're only going to put in, I think, people in the club. So because, but that's just me. This
is my sense of a longer term
Mhm.
timeline.
Mhm.
None of these things appeared full grown overnight,
Mhm.
and they will not disappear full
Mhm.
grown overnight either.
Mhm.
So as we've watched RFK remove the hepatitis B vaccine from the childhood vaccination schedule,
Mhm.
as we've watched him change the food pyramid,
Uh-huh.
as we've watched him terminate $500 million in contracts
Mhm.
for mRNA vaccine technology development,
Mhm. Mhm.
as we've watched him question, and we've already seen many companies,
Mhm.
big time companies, removing food colorings, food additives,
Mhm.
and he's encouraging people to eat healthier. We have to start somewhere. There has to be a toehold somewhere.
Mhm.
Is he going to be able to clean up the mess entirely? No, I don't think so. But we've got to get people healthier again.
Right.
Now,
So
having said that,
Mhm.
I do not see him taking strong action on whatever it is they're spraying on us from the skies. And I think
Mhm.
that is absolutely a public health issue. And there's, has he been as forceful as he could be about vaccination? Maybe not. He did
Mhm.
stop a big time. There was a proposal for a mega
Mhm.
shot that was
Mhm.
coming that was going to have measles and like 5 or 6, another concoction of 5 or 6 different things. And he said
Mhm.
no to
Mhm.
that. So these are positive steps. And I think if
Mhm.
we say, well, unless we get the whole enchilada, we're not interested.
Mhm.
We're not going to ever get it.
Right. But I think
So take what we can.
this is the issue, I think, for many people. So the house is burning And we're saying that RFK is throwing a couple of buckets of water on it, maybe has a hose, but it's not going to stop the fire, right? So is it a good thing? Well, in this day and age, with what he knows, he should be destroying the entire vax program, or at least going after the entire vax program all the time, right? But he is eliminating 6 of the vaccines, right? Out of the schedule of 92 plus shots. So when they said, well, RFK is getting in there, he's gonna turn it inside out, we're gonna blow this thing up, it's gonna be so great. But not really, because he's going after about, 6% of it, right? 7% of it. So that's why people are having so much of an issue right now. It's like, you could debate on what he's done, but the problem is going to be, is it enough at this stage in the game? If the house is burning, is what he's doing going to be effective? Because in a couple of years, we're going to have somebody else in there that's going to double down with the CDC. And so this is the ultimate question. Could he have done way more than he's doing? I think he has the knowledge to. The deep state will never allow him to. He wants to get rid of 6 of the vaccines for right now, for a short period of time, he will. But then at the end of this term, they're going to install somebody that will double down. So I don't,
Well, if
that's what people are looking for from government. But at the end of the day, you get to choose how many shots you get. So at the end of the day, we're responsible for our health. So
I'm gonna press
Okay.
on, we have to move forward. And you have said it, and I have said it, and I believe this.
mhm.
If we see movement in the right direction, we need to be the ones doubling down.
That it's us. It's always
we
us.
need to be the
Yes,
ones
yes.
contacting RFK's office and
Mhm.
contacting HHS and saying,
Yes.
we love what you're doing, do more.
Mhm,
Go,
mhm.
go. And I think, sometimes cut short the ability that we have as
Mhm,
individuals, as people, as the people,
mhm.
to make those changes. If we just sit back and say, well, the deep state won't ever let it happen, then you're right. That's what will happen. But if we as people
Mhm.
become,
Right.
if we put our armor on and we look for those who are leading the fight
Mhm.
in some direction that's positive, and I
Yeah.
think some of what he's doing is positive. Do I want him to do more? Absolutely. But
So you're
we've gotta
right. I think
push
of
on
that.
him. We've got to push him.
Mhm. So it's always going to come down to us. It made me laugh when people were like, "What is he going to do about red dye?" And I'm like, "Well, don't eat food with red dye. Why are we waiting on RFK to do it all and do it in government? Because government will never be permitted. Everyone in government has to play for the deep state, whether they like it or not. And so you're either going to get warned, you're either going to get threatened, you're either or you're just bought. So in my eyes, it's like people were like kind of going off about whatever RFK was going to do about red dye was going to be the only thing. Like you just said, it's not the only thing. It's not even the thing anymore, because we all know what animal government is as a whole, right? They're only going to go one direction because they're directed by the deep state on the right and the left. So we have to go, well, I'm going to choose not to eat red dye. I don't care what RFK does about it in government, because it's me. I get to choose. I get to choose how many shots I get. I get to say yes or no. I get to pony myself up for an asinine flu shot or not, By the way, I will not. I will not take any injection. But at the end of the day, the problem with the media and government is they've directed the populace to look and have the government guide them. We are never supposed to be guided by government, like you said. It's not up to them. It's up to us. So we get to choose. We still choose. It's up to our health is up to us. What kind of doctor you go? Do you want to go to a moron? Go to a moron. You want to go to somebody that knows health? Go to somebody that knows health. And so I think you're right in that at the end of the day, it truly doesn't even matter what government does or doesn't do, right? Or even evaluating it, because I think it can only go in one direction anyway.
It does, actually.
You think it
Kate.
does? Okay.
I do think it does. And this
Mhm.
is the reason why I think it does.
Mhm.
Because had we not pressed back against mandates during COVID,
Mhm.
had had everybody just said, well, it's the deep
Mhm.
state,
Uh-huh.
I can be non-compliant, lose my job. And many people did do that.
Right,
They
right,
walked
right.
that path.
Mhm.
Kudos to
Sure.
them. I applaud them.
Mhm.
But the fight in government must happen as well. And even with Red 40
Mhm.
is a really good I don't have to eat it until it's in literally everything that's manufactured.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to have to eat it because we can't avoid it. That's why I think what they're spraying in the skies is such a huge issue
Mhm.
and needs to be legislated, because I can't opt out of that. Neither
Right.
can you.
Right. Well, it
Um,
should be a good sign about all these food suppliers. Like I talked about yesterday, the Toronto Protocols. Back in '67, they gathered the 6 biggest bankers and the 6 biggest food people, the food corporations, because they're so controlled by government. And so it should tell people how the deep state operates and what the deep state's capable of in
Right.
impacting our entire food supply. Yet we
Right.
can grow our own stuff still, so there are choices we can make. But yeah, it's a weird conversation because we are programmed to look at the government and what it does for us and doesn't do for us. And then what happens? We don't look in the mirror and say, I'm powerful. I'm a person. I'm going to do what I
Well,
want, regardless of where
there's
government goes.
there's an individual accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's also
Yeah.
we as citizens have a responsibility to making sure that our government reflects our values, and not, we can't just say, well, we can't do anything about that.
Mhm.
It's just a done deal.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's to quote Mr. Rogers, for want of a better thing, look for the helpers, look for the people who
Mhm.
are out there sticking their
Right.
neck out.
Your
Even if
local
it's just a-
farmers. Your local
Well,
farm. Go
that's-
get your food from them. Yeah, yeah, for
we
sure.
can do that.
Yeah.
But realistically
Mhm.
speaking, even if I did all of those things for myself,
Mhm. Yeah.
how much am I willing to invest in what is happening generally
Mhm.
in society? Is it okay?
Mm.
We're going to come down to a place where if we're not vaccinating our kids, we're not going to have a job. We're not going to have schooling for our kids. We're not going to have. So we
Right.
need to
All
engage
coming
in the
from the
fight.
government.
Let's
Yes.
let's engage in the fight.
Yes.
Let's-
get your
and
kids out
we
of
need-
school. If you
Oh my
have
gosh,
to, if
you
you
know,
have to shoot them up, get your kids out of school, right?
Progressives have
Mhm.
taken a very long view. They were
Mhm.
content back in 1900 and 1910 and 1920 and 30
Sure.
to take pieces that they could obtain and then push the ball forward. We're going to have to do it to unwind it in the same way.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to take a longer view,
Mhm.
but we have to find the people who are doing something and encourage them to do more.
Yes.
That's our job,
That's why the
as
show.
well as to take care of ourselves.
Well, yeah, that's why the show, I know we have a couple minutes left before Susan comes on, but that's why the show is just so adamant about we're so brainwashed to wait for whatever Trump does the next day. What is he going to do for us? What is he doing to combat the deep state? But he's not combating it. We're furthering the goal line. Just look at the Davos transcript. I mean, we keep furthering the goal lines and not doing anything ourselves. We just sit around waiting for government to act. We wait for RFK to do something. We wait for Trump to do something. And that's exactly why they put him into office, to be frank. It's because they wanted us so complacent that we would be that brainwashed into thinking on our right, because I'm on the right, to just wait it out and see, and almost like we're just eating popcorn, we're just waiting, and it's just like, well, what happened to us? What happened to our accountability, like you talked about? What happened to that? So we just have to just get on the ball as far as going, whatever RFK does or doesn't do today, I still make my own decisions today. I can grow my own food, buy my own food where I want to buy it. I don't have to sit in front of a bag of Doritos, and I can not vaccinate, and I can pull my kids out of the public education system if it gets that bad. You know what I mean? Like, we still have some choices.
We
So.
do, and we have to fight to preserve those choices. I see significant threat to our farmers. I see significant threat to our ability to make certain types of choices.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure that our government remains responsive to preserving our freedom and our choice. That is not their end goal. Their end goal is to deny choice, to make us eat cricket burgers and,
Right.
fed
Yeah.
slop that's chemically laced and
Mhm.
induced and make us breathe the air that's all nasty and full of sulfur.
Yep.
That is their goal, is to deny us those choices, which in my book is how we know that they are evil and wicked,
Mhm.
because only evil and wicked denies people freedom and choice.
Amen.
So what we've got to engage in that battle
Mhm.
to preserve
Mhm.
freedom and choice. I'm happy
Right.
that
Right.
RFK took $500 million away from the mRNA vaccine developers,
Mhm.
because if they don't develop it, they can't force me to take it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's about freedom. So we have to maybe think, yes, the deep state is there. And oh gosh, I hate to quote scripture at anybody, but we are fighting against,
Mhm.
things that are much bigger and much harder and much more evil than we think.
Well, I'll put it this way. It's like the house burning analogy. So the house is burning, okay, and we want people to get 10 fire trucks on that house to stop the house fire. But what we keep doing in society, I think, is we keep cheering on as a cheerleader when a couple of buckets are thrown on it, right? So we keep cheering because you would naturally cheer for any water to go on the fire. True.
Right.
Okay, I get that.
Mhm.
I get that. What the American populace isn't understanding is that if you wanted to gut the deep state, they would. If they wanted to terminate the vaccine program that's been giving us cancer since 1955, they would have. If they wanted to eliminate, the debt that we're in, if they wanted to do a lot of things, they would have done it. And so we, the people, have become very apt to accept the small little doses of the little buckets of water, because we're just grateful for any water. When the ding-a-ling Hormala administration was in, we saw them stand there with no water. And so we were like, oh, any water, any water, any water at this point. The problem is that we never, ever thought that the neighborhood could come together and solve the fire. So we
Right.
keep waiting for the 10 fire trucks to say, see, he's getting rid of the deep state. It will never happen in a million years, because the deep state is running the show right now. So they're not going to send 10 fire trucks. The neighborhood has to get together and start throwing the water on the house and figure out really great ways to do it. Right?
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So
And
that's all
we
I'm
do
saying.
have that. We do have the power.
Yeah, we
The
do.
other
We
thing,
do.
but the fight has to also be, we
Mhm.
have to be willing to fight the police officers that are going to come and tell us we're not allowed to put water on the fire.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that's part of this fight right now. We
Mhm,
have a lot of they're putting things in place.
mhm.
Just like I said, I can't choose about the air I breathe.
Right.
We are not exempt from that no matter where you go. Right now, it's globally, no matter where you go.
Mhm,
So, I- if I cannot be 100% self-sufficient. And I don't think even in America, even 150 years ago, people were 100% self-sufficient, unless we're willing to go back and live like Plains Indians hunting
mhm.
buffalo. We can't grow all our own food. I can't
No.
grow 100% of everything,
Mhm,
but I can be a watchdog and make
mhm,
sure that those people that are supposed to be representing me are
Mhm.
keeping my choices
mhm,
as free and clear as possible. That is
mhm.
my job, to be engaged in that fight.
Yeah.
We have to get in the trenches somehow. If
Mhm.
we all sit on the sideline and get our
Right.
popcorn out, watch the house burn down, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It's going to burn down.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, they do
For
sell
goodness sakes, please don't do that.
they do sell Doritos without all the dyes now. I don't know if people realize that. They do. I actually had one. I actually had a Dorito without all the stuff on it. I didn't know what it was because it doesn't have all this recognizable seasoning on it or coloring on it. But
Oh, the
anyway,
orange powder?
yeah, the orange powder. But see, we're wired into tribes, and we're wired into. I had an old friend of mine, put up a thing about, Trump's winning, and I'm like, we're not winning against the deep state. It doesn't matter who they put in. We're not winning. We're delaying. We're happy with pieces. We're happy with little things that are said. And there's a lot of things that are said that are never done because they want us to remember that they were said. They're not necessarily going to get done. So I think there's just a lot of that's probably why people listen to the show, is to kind of figure out, okay, well, what's really happening? What is not happening? What should we cheer for? What should we not? Everyone will cheer for a couple of buckets of water, but we as a society need to understand not to sit and wait for the fire trucks. We're waiting for there's something big to happen to the deep state. And it's like, they're not going to do that to themselves. And until we figure out that the deep state is running the show, telling us they're getting rid of the deep state and how asinine that is, we're never going to get anywhere. Like, we're never really, truly going to get anywhere. But as a society with government is what I'm trying to say. But on the other hand, we, the people, can do a lot. We just don't realize we can. We have a lot of power. We just can't.
Are we just going to loop this back? Who
Mhm.
at the beginning of the season thought that the IU Hoosiers were going to win the national championship?
Yeah.
Nobody said that. And I've seen like the odds makers had them at like astronomical odds of even being anywhere near that. But here we are.
Mhm.
And so I
Mhm.
sincerely do not want despair to cloud our judgment.
It's not despair. We just have to work out the brainwashing. That's what it is to me. When people say, but you're taking away my hope. No, it's just your hope's been in the wrong place. Get it out of the government arena and you'll be a lot happier.
We have to remember, and like I said, listening to some of the things that came from the mouth of Signetti, they came together as a team, the way they came together. And Mendoza, he was the guy that was like, glory to God for everything.
Yeah.
And that's where it starts, I think.
Mhm.
But he also said something else that really impressed me. He said, I would die for my teammates and the win and my team.
Mm.
And how many of us have really that kind of fire in our belly to restore our freedoms? That whose team are we
That's the
playing
sad
on?
part. Yeah. We get caught
we-
up in the tribal think and we don't understand that they're doing it no matter what tribe is into.
I
Certainly.
want the tribal thing to be that I would die for my freedoms. I would
Mhm.
die for
Mhm.
the other people that want to protect my freedoms too.
Mhm.
That is my tribe. My tribe are
Yeah.
the people that are protecting freedoms. And let's get out there and win. We could,
Mhm.
but I think sometimes we let the sports commentators and we let the fans and we let the other teams get in our head and we think we can't do it.
Mhm.
And that was not their approach.
Yeah.
And that's not a winning way to see the fight.
Right.
We have to believe that we can make a difference, that we can win this, and you
Mhm.
win it one game at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at this point, when I say, well, what about the people stopping the fire? What about that? And then people go, but we can't. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
We
We
certainly
can
can.
in numbers. We can. As a group, we did it to basically put this country on track. We did it before. We can do it again. It's just, we just have been trained and by our precious public PBS and our Fox News and CNN and all the rest of the bought and sold media. We've just gone in hook, line, and sinker to so much of, to only debate what government is doing for us and not doing for us, rather than what are the people doing and not doing for us. And so the conversation just never gets really had. It's just a brainwashing technique. They've been very successful, and it's so hard. It's so hard to see
That's why we're
beyond
having
that.
the conversation.
It
here.
is. I mean, this is so good. It's so good to have this conversation, because this is where we get our hope back. And they wanted all of our hope to be in government. That's why every 4 to 8 years they go vote, 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 even though they've had control over voting for a very long time. But they just want us to think it's in the tribe. Once your tribe's in, all is good. I'm like, not necessarily.
I have hope in truth. I have hope in freedom. And those are very hard things to find. anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They don't want us to be able to
Right.
find truth. They don't want
Right.
us to have freedom. So let's put our investment there.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that. So I appreciate that. It's tough. It's tough. I've got Susan on tap. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, Malusha. And good luck with the storm. Oh my gosh, it's going to hit.
I'll let you know next week how it is.
Whew. Okay. All right. I appreciate you. Thanks. And so I have got Susan on tap, and always going to be fun, right? So, Susan, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you,
Awesome.
Kate?
Awesome. Any
I'm
thoughts
enjoying
on?
the sunshine in California? So poor Melissa.
I know, right? You're in
Awful.
California.
I grew up
She's
in the
in.
Midwest.
Ah.
So,
She's in
Yep.
Indiana. So what do we got on the docket? I haven't even spoken to Susan. What's on your docket? And do you have any thoughts on what we were just talking about?
just that I have a lot of hope in seeing through the processes and not getting caught up in the micro, the roller coaster, the media roller coasters that like to take you on. Now, this is what's happening at Davos. This is, David Beckham at Davos. Let's focus on that. Or you think, I'm not getting on that roller coaster. I'm going to look at processes longer term and look at directions and look at pressures that are building in systems and not media hysteria. Media is very, drama prone, drama oriented. And if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody who's a drama queen, that's what media is, drama.
Sure.
So that's why I just like to think, I'm going to step back. I'm going to look at other things.
Yeah.
So what I have on the docket is a few things. And I like to see what global for 2026, since we're in 2026. Have you been signing things 2026?
No, I've had to play catch up. I haven't. Like it's just not registered yet. So
it's like a brain glitch. It's like it can't possibly be 2026, but it is. So NPR, who I like to keep tabs on, like what are they up to? They put out the global buzzwords that will be buzzing in 2026. Like what is it that they want us to hear in 2026? And one of them that I found super interesting was it's called zero dose children. Zero dose.
Interesting. Children. Zero dose.
Label. Yes. And zero dose children, they say are those children from the World Health Organization and UNICEF. There's roughly 14.3 million zero dose children around the world, meaning they did not receive any routine vaccinations.
Oh, good Lord. Thank you. Yes.
And often it says they may live in remote or impoverished areas, or their families may be nomadic and thus not able to easily access healthcare. But, within our known families, there are zero dose children.
Yeah.
Within our social circles.
Do you notice how they always do this too? It's like anti-vaccine or zero dose. Do you notice how it's always a negative? Like it's always a negative connotation. I mean, you're a zero dose. You're a zero, basically. You're a zero dose, a doser. No, how about you're healthy? You're not getting the government mandated health doses. Like they never turn it into a positive. They never will. They'll only tell us that the lingo will only go one way, and that is to make us zero people, the bad guys, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And why have they given up on unvaccinated? And I think it's because the word unvaccinated had a positive connotation after a while. After people started getting sick with the COVID vaccine, unvaccinated became a bit of a prestigious thing. And they're like, well, we've got to go in a different direction. What word are we going to use? Zero dose children. It does make you seem impoverished, right?
It makes you seem like you're a zero, which was basically the reason for the connotation. It's like conspiracy theorist if you don't believe the government narrative,
I know. Isn't that so funny?
It's amazing.
I thought that was just incredible.
Yeah.
It said Doctors Without Borders said it treated nearly 1,000 patients, 2,700 severe and 35 deaths in the Sudan for polio and measles. But, let me just say this about measles total cases.
Mhm.
So in my former state, they keep telling me how now there's 200 measles cases. What you realize is there's only a few handful of people with measles at a time. They keep
Mhm.
adding to the total.
Yeah.
So when they say there's 200 people with measles, they mean, oh, that's the total number over X number of months. But they don't tell you that in the article. You have to know that it's
Mhm.
only a few cases at a time. So, impoverished
Mhm.
children, impoverished people who have poor nutrition are at different risk for diseases than
Mhm.
we are here in the United States. Not to say that we can't be malnourished here in the United States. Absolutely, we can.
Mhm.
I was listening to someone talking about the science behind taking extra magnesium, as some people supplement with magnesium, and they go, why do you need to? We
Mhm.
know the soils are deficient in magnesium. They don't have the same magnesium levels, and so our plant foods don't as they used to. But it's just something to take into consideration. If you don't understand the bigger issues,
Mhm.
the context of this,
Mhm.
you're just like, wow, 200 current cases in a small state. No, that is the total, and the news
Yeah.
is leaving that out. Okay, so another
They
one, of
always
course,
will.
they expect the term disease X to continue to be big. Now, we heard disease X when they were planning for COVID. They called it disease X. Oh, COVID. And
Mhm.
they're saying whatever is the next disease, disease X. And so they're going to continue to harp on that. We will continue to be unimpressed with that.
Mhm.
There's something, a term that I was actually impressed with, memorandum of understanding. So we know that USAID was
Mhm.
decimated by the
Mhm.
Trump administration. So much fraud, so much abuse. They just said, no, we're going to go in. But the United States is interested in preserving some programs in some countries. And so they're often going directly through those governments, especially in Africa. And so a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, is
Mhm.
essentially a contract between two parties. In this case, it's the Trump administration and individual governments in Africa. In this case, the US has signed 14 MOUs with African countries. It's a new model from the way foreign aid has been dispensed in the past.
Mhm.
And they're saying this is one of the biggest stories in global health, because there'll be more accountability, there will be more oversight by people in the federal government. Now, this is the Trump administration. Who is to say that if something, heaven forbid, a Gavin Newsom administration comes in, all bets are off, we'll probably go back to the old model. But it is, I think it's good that we try new models. Let's try something new. Let's see if this works. And if there's a better result, we'll stick with that. I think that's great. Do we need to be giving money to governments? I do think we have an interest in not letting some things get out of hand, like HIV. I really do. So a memorandum of understanding.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Well, it's just that I think that came about with their hepatitis shot. They were promising homosexuals everywhere. They had those big posters, come and get your shots for this hepatitis. They spread that knowingly and willingly, and so you'll hear about it far less today, right? It's because I don't think it's the big problem that it used to be when they were manipulating it and throwing it out there. But a lot of these things come by way of shot, unfortunately. So we did a whole show on that. I don't know if people remember that, but in any case, yeah, I think that what the reason that they're doing that whole you're impoverished, so you're not poked enough, is trying to again put this negative connotation out there that if you're either impoverished or stupid if you're not poked. So listen, poked with vaccines. So it's just kind of a crazy ad campaign. It really, you know what I mean? It's bizarre. Is it?
Yeah.
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 It's
Well,
strange.
and I think especially in African countries, they are really motivated to keep the global population down, right? And not have
Mhm.
one woman, 8 or 10 children. And they have found that if a woman has the expectation that some of her children will die, and some of her children do die from whatever, often waterborne diseases, often they're getting sick from the water.
Yeah. That's
And getting diarrhea and dehydration, right? And getting sick. And then, so they just end up having a lot of children. And so their thought is if we can vaccinate them, keep them healthier, and there's more of a guarantee those children are going to live to adulthood,
yeah.
the women will have fewer children.
But you don't want those horrible vaccinations, and those shots are creating even more problems than they had previously. If they would solve their water problem on its own without the shots being the remedy, then they'd have a chance. But they're going to continuously use the water problem as here's the savior, get our vaccines. And so it's so diabolical and so evil how they're doing that, especially in Africa, which is their guinea pig crowd. I mean, this is where Bill Gates has his heyday, is sending shots over there as the solution to bad water, when that problem could be solved pretty easily. And they just will not do it. The constant remedy will always be, if you get inoculated, you're saving yourself. And I don't believe that at all. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's a lie. So, because the shots, I do think, are causing way more problems, way more issues. So,
and then, yes, absolutely. So, and one of the things that the Trump administration wants is that the local people take more responsibility for their own health solutions and so that it isn't just outside government. So, that is one of the other buzzwords, which is localization. They said it's in the disruption of global health aid in 2025. That was via the Trump administration cutting off USAID. That they propose decolonization. That's the Duke Global Health Institute said we're going to decolonize. That's because wealthy countries have not only a history of supporting health programs in these low income countries, but they have a big say in how they were implemented. So they just come in and overnight, they're just dictating to everybody what needs to be done. And they're saying, you know what, these local people and local physicians and people who actually care about the populations should be in control of what gets done and how. And I think if you have well-meaning individuals at the local level, that could be a very, very good thing. I've been in a third world country. I've been in an impoverished country where, you see dogs walking down the corridor of just an old hospital that has a few beds, and it's very sad, where they don't have equipment. It leads me to another word, which is fractured resilience. They come up with these buzzwords, but fractured resilience essentially means you have some equipment, and now it gets washed away in a flood, and you're just basically left with nothing. That is the state of poverty, that you are so close to just survival. But it can be true of any of us. We've learned that one health emergency can take us down if our bodies are not resilient, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, it really does come down to food supplies, nutrition, so that our bodies can heal and repair themselves from so many things, and that we're not susceptible to them.
Well, they've definitely kept the third world countries. They could have changed a lot of that, but I think they did so that they could keep a source of guinea pigs at the disposal of pharma and the disposal of the deep state, so that they also don't have what separates us from them is they don't have land ownership. You can't own anything, right? You can sometimes, but it's very limited. And so of course it keeps them in a spiral of poverty, right? So
it really does, and it's intentional. And that's when you start to realize, oh my gosh, so much of poverty, it isn't due to what the people, we used to blame the poor for their own impoverishment. And then you realize, wow, so many systems really are set up to keep people in place and impoverished. So anyway, I thought those global buzzwords were super interesting. Like they're looking towards this, and
it's kind of like unhoused. I'm like, what is this garbage? I'm an
Yes.
unhoused. You're unhoused, like it's a right. Like you're supposed to have a house as a right. You work and earn a house. Like how ridiculous! It's like I am unhoused. No, you're just choosing not to take the steps to have a house. Maybe it's mental illness that you can't control. Maybe it's that you like where you're at. Maybe you don't want to try to go down those roads. Who knows what the reason is? I get mental health is a big factor, but unhoused, as if the house is the right. That'll always astonish me that they changed it in Hollywood to unhoused. Does that surprise you too?
Well, we've talked before about words and
Yeah.
why they change words and narrative.
Yeah.
And I have to recommend a book. It's kind of a funny title.
Okay.
It's Mace Hughes, who did military intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
He came out with a new book called Tongue.
Yeah.
And you're like, tongue. And he talks about words. And he
Okay.
says words create a constraint. They give you like a box to put an idea in. So if you think of tree,
Uh-huh.
you have very specific things.
Okay.
And he says, think about how words shape
Mhm.
how you think about a thing. He said, if you think about it, it minimizes how you think about a thing. But if you go deeper into an idea
Mhm.
and recognize, I'm not just going to rely on these individual words. I'm going to look
Mhm.
at things in a deeper way.
Mhm.
And they're very sensitive about us looking into things in a deeper way. They don't want us looking into things in a
Mhm.
deeper way, right?
Mhm.
They want to spit out the words and they want us to accept the words. And so I love the fact that he said words are constraint. Yes, they are. They minimize how you think about a thing. And so you step back and it gives you a little
Mhm.
more of appreciation. But I highly recommend the book. It's not that expensive. Um,
Excellent.
it's super,
Oh,
super interesting.
I'm getting a comment on texting. With the texting line is up on screen if you're watching the show on X or YouTube Live or wherever else we are. Anyway, Rumble, I think. But here's a text, and the texting number is 435-680-2503. This is about, like, are the elderly used as guinea pigs here? Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yes, 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 yes. I just wanted to answer that question. Yes, they are. They are. And the homeless. The homeless are being used right now to take away liberty. When I mentioned the unhoused, give me a break.
Yes.
But
Yes.
they're going to put them in there without their rights. They're going to medically keep them in a facility, and people are going to cheer because they're going to think we're being saved by the mental health challenged
Mhm, mhm.
homeless. But no, they're just doing a dry run for taking people's rights away without due process. Constitution is not alive for them at this point, and people are cheering it, especially on our right, which makes me sick. But that's what's happening, and the elderly are being used as guinea pigs, and they're being forced shots because if you're on government medical, then they're going to force shots on people sitting in homes. Okay, enough of that. Now, where are we going? I wanted to answer the question.
Where are we going?
Where are we going?
I wanted to talk about just one quote
Okay.
out of Davos, and it was Scott Bessent, and he is our Treasury Secretary, also in charge of the IRS.
Also in charge of Soros's accounts. So that's where he got his claim to fame, is he's done all the Soros stuff. So he's our
Yeah.
Secretary of the Treasury.
Yes, yes, yes. And he ripped into Governor Gavin Newsom, governor
Mhm.
of California, who he
Mhm.
said is there with his little financier Alex Soros, interestingly enough. And he
Mhm.
said that Gavin Newsom is a cross between Patrick Bateman, which
Mhm.
is from
Mhm.
American Psycho, serial killer, and Malibu Barbie Ken.
Mm.
And once you see that combo, you can't unsee it. He really does look like Patrick Bateman and Malibu Barbie Ken. And
Yep.
just ripped into him and just said everything he's ever done is absolutely wrong. But he made a point. He said, we really want to do America first, or was this Lutnick? I can't remember. He said, I think it was Scott Bissett, but he said, they forced Europe, or Europe forced itself, or someone forced Europe to accept wind and solar. And he says they don't make a single battery in Europe. They would have to become 100% reliant on China. He goes, we are done with that model. We want every
Yeah.
country every group of countries to be sufficient on their own because it makes them more stable. And we're tired of this outsourcing to the far ends of the earth because it makes everybody too unstable and too reliant on each other.
Did he mention that we have enough oil here? He probably didn't go there, right?
No, but
No.
it's interesting because Trump put up, I don't know. See, I don't know if this was or not, but put up a map showing Venezuela with an American flag on it, Canada with an American flag, and America, and of course Greenland.
It's a region.
And it's a region. It's a region, and so yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. Of course, we can be self-reliant. Of course, we can.
It's just amazing the things that they don't say that we have here in the United States, because we're reliant on some things that we shouldn't be, and they don't. It's never talked about. It's like I don't know. It just seems strange that we don't get those conversations over here. But
no.
we
But
should.
I think more conversation is happening. There's more chatter, which who was
Mm-hmm.
it? I was listening to somebody talk about we really have to get a hold on social media. We can't let all this misinformation be going on, and just the groups. Oh, it was somebody who got banned, who's in the EU, who got their visa banned from coming to America because
Mhm.
they are in charge of a group to stop hate, meaning clamp down on social media, clamp down on dialogue, clamp down. And it was Marco Rubio who said, we're not going to put up with these groups, these individuals who are so motivated to clamp down on free speech. We're banning their visas. And I thought, okay,
Mm.
that impressed me. That
Mhm.
one little act, like, yes, keep those people out if we must. I wanted to talk really quickly about there is a group movement. There is something trying to go on the ballot here in California, which is so much has been cut out of the federal budget
Mhm.
to California for medical expenses that they're trying to pass a 5% tax, a wealth tax on billionaires, but it's not on their income. It is on their voting shares rather than the actual equity they own in the country. So Larry Page, for example, owns 3% of Google,
Mhm.
but he controls 30% of its voting power through dual class stock. And then he would owe taxes on that 30%. So for a company valued in the hundreds of billions, it's a huge amount. And Gavin Newsom has said, and this is to fund, they said, they're putting it on the ballot and they're going to tell people here in California it's to keep emergency rooms open.
Mhm.
Which, whatever they say about let's just keep emergency rooms open, that's not what they're doing, right?
Mhm.
So they're expecting this mass exodus of billionaires. But even people who support Kamala Harris, her mega donor, is against it. All the billionaires are against it. So if all the billionaires are against it, do you think it's going to end up on the ballot?
Is that a trick question?
I know.
Yeah.
So already, Gavin Newsom is
Mhm.
fighting it. This will be defeated. There's no question in my
He's
mind.
he's such a
relentlessly
robotic
working-
piece of work.
He's relentlessly working
He-
behind the scenes. He
Mhm.
said, he told the New York Times, I'll do what I have to do to protect the state. Okay.
He's very, very, he's part of the deep state. He's very controlled he's the theater. He doesn't run a damn thing. Other people do, but he's the
And
face.
that's why, the
Mhm.
all the Davos people, like, look who's at Davos. Look who's,
Mhm.
these are the puppets.
Mhm.
These are not the puppet masters appearing at Davos. These are the puppets. And they're going to do what they're told. They're going to say what they need to has to be said. What's scary about this proposal is it only needs 875,000 signatures to get on November's ballots, and then it needs a simple majority to pass.
Mhm.
But we know that with electronic voting, you can make anything pass you want to pass and anything fail that needs to fail.
Mhm.
So I am not convinced. It's like a lot of more drama,
Mhm.
and we'll see what happens with that. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, headline today again is Michael, the Michael Burry, the one from The Big Short, telling everyone that the AI bubble, too big to save, sounding the alarm, blah 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 blah. Just don't always believe what you read, because some, like Mike, like I know him, and he keeps telling me that they keep doing all these headlines about him, and because it's like the big headline right now, all across MSN, all of them, and don't. Just know that they take what he says and twist it a lot too, for headlines, and so he's not actually saying a lot of the things they report that he's saying. By the way, he was the subject of The Big Short. So
Okay.
anyway,
Well, and he was right on that. He
well,
was
I
right on
emailed
that.
him, and he's just like, yeah, I'm not saying this stuff, so I don't know how they're coming up with these headlines, but
Wow.
anyway,
That's why it is
like the
it's-
housing stuff. Hmm.
Yeah, you can't.
Hmm.
People ask me about the news. They'll say, "What do what do you
Yeah.
think about this? What do you think about that?" I say, I put very little weight
Yeah.
on what those things are saying.
Uh-huh.
If nothing else, look at how people got wrapped around the axle on climate change, on global warming, wrapped around the axle, willing to die for it, throwing themselves in front of all sorts of things, putting their lives on the line. And now we're going to have one of the, the coldest winter storms,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
They were just wrong. And so you can't, this is the waves. They're coming, they're going.
Mhm.
Speaking of what you can and cannot tell, there's something out of Rutgers, the Social Perception Lab. And they looked at Nick Fuentes. So Nick Fuentes is a far-right influencer who's just gained millions of followers. And they started looking at his numbers, like, how did he surge to the front? And he's kind of
I think he's part of the club, but go ahead.
yeah, well, he's kind of obnoxious, very egregious. He's making comments about pedophilia, like if you are engaged what Epstein did with these teenagers, that's not pedophilia. Well, technically he's right. Pedophilia is super young kids. That's pederasty, whatever, but he doesn't make that point. He's just saying it's not technically. Why? Really egregious, extreme views. And so what they looked at, they're like, wait a minute, where did these numbers come from for him? And he said he had received dramatically higher early retweet velocity than any other person like him, including Elon Musk. So they're like, why is he getting all this acceleration in his retweets? And that Elon Musk is the platform's most followed users. Within the first critical 30 minutes, Fuentes routinely outperforms accounts with 100 times more followers. His early engagement is dominated by repeat actors. 20% of his posts, 61% of his retweets come from accounts that retweet multiples of these 20 posts. So he's getting like super high velocity. The amplification network is overwhelmingly anonymous and ideologically dedicated. So 92% of his repeat retweets are anonymous people retweeting him. And pretty soon you start to figure out, oh, this is manufactured. This is being manufactured and paid for.
It's a lot of bots.
What's that?
There's a lot of bots.
Oh my gosh. So foreign origin amplification dominated his viral posts. So roughly half of his retweets came from foreign accounts, heavily concentrated in India, Pakistan, Nigeria, Malaysia, and Indonesia. And these regions have no organic link to his politics, right? They're not American politically. They're not like linked to Canada, et cetera. And they don't match the known geographic footprint of low costing, but they do match the footprint of these farms, these retweet farms that just retweet, bot farms. That's BOT, bot farms. Mainstream media reinforcement. And so his mainstream media they love to talk about what he's been talking about and retweeting. So there's something there that they have caught onto to make him seem like the extreme right. And now that can work in two ways. Why would somebody on the right want to say, oh, look at what's happening on the extreme right? That's because then you seem more like a mainstream right, even if you are extreme on the right, right? He is also involved in the coordination. So he'll say, retweet me. He'll really, really push that. So this is propulsion. This is, you don't hear Candace Owens saying, retweet me or make this go viral, or she never says that. I think she really believes in her own, or the truth is going to be organically viral or not, right? And so when people start becoming a little more savvy on how these systems function, you can pick up on the tells a lot more easily. And I appreciate that Rutgers did this, because I wouldn't have noticed that 92% of his retweets is by anonymous accounts. And that's significant. So take that with a grain of salt. And when somebody criticizes you, oh, you right-wing people, like, and you've got Nick Fuentes that is so popular, you go, hey, guess what? That's like bot farms. And here's how you know. So good to know. And we have to become more sophisticated at this.
Well, I look at like, let's look at Facebook's new president for just a second, Dina Powell. Okay, Dina Powell, very interesting. Okay, she was on track to. Well, she's a President Trump advisor. Was on track to be the United Nations ambassador. That should tell people a lot. United Nations is horrific. And so you have this person who's the newly appointed, who's pushing AI to be part of Meta and Facebook. And she's like, I'm a Republican, yet don't look at all the things I'm doing as far as furthering the deep state agendas. And a lot of people will go, well, she's in Trump's administration, so she's great. And I'm like, you're blind. Like, this is all deep state. She's a deep stater. Doesn't matter who's president. She's a deep stater. And she is committed to the deep state, has been her whole life. She was director and president of Goldman Sachs, for Pete's sakes, I think going back clear about a decade and a half ago. She's got a very interesting career path all the way to the head of Meta now. And it's all one big little club. And so that's why I'm like, look, where we thought this administration was, well, not we, there's a lot of people out there that thought that we would be fighting against what was going on with AI or social media or all the things that have been happening. She's president of it. She's still going to clamp down on people saying things. She's still going to side with pharma. She's still going to side with the deep state. She's going to do all the deep state things. And we just have a hard time seeing through it. Why? Because we're so tribal. If our tribe's in, then of course, then she has the best intentions. If this was Biden putting her in, because she's definitely being positioned to also lead out on leftist stuff too, then she's not, then we have to look at her. It's like we're just constantly told to only look at people in the other tribe and never the people in our tribe. Well, in our tribe, this is who's the head of Meta. I mean, it's a club. Remember when I said yesterday, Zuckerberg was at the table at Davos? Why? He's the fake inventor of Facebook. So it's just so crazy. All these interchangeable club people, and we keep getting told that we're ousting the deep state on the right. I'm like, honey, this is the deep state. We're not ousting anyone. This is it. Marco Rubio, you name it. They're all deep state. It's like, it's comical at this point. I wish we could see through it all. You brought up social media earlier. I just wish we could see through it all. I really do. It's getting nauseating at this point.
Yeah. Well, their agenda has been so set and so firm for so long, for so many decades, that nothing is going to stop this. And when you look at Trump's inauguration, who were in those front row seats?
Oh my gosh, all of AI and tech.
Was all the tech guys. And they feel an entitlement, and they see this as the future of humanity, whether it's controlling our brains, Neuralink, and Starlink, and all of the things. And you think, oh, come on. They want us to do the wearables.
And not only that, your Elons, your Jeff Bezos, all of these guys, I think, are hijacked members of the deep state that are made to look private in business and made to look private in tech and made to look private in AI, and it's not. It's all government run. These guys are government run. Elon is government run, in my opinion. Bezos is government run. Bezos is an op. I mean, he's there to collect data through Amazon and grow Amazon for the data purposes. So there's just so much there to unpack. We've unpacked it on other shows, but we just have a hard time seeing even beyond the stage. It's like these people are there for a reason. They're all CIA hacks. They're all intelligence hacks. And we just, we think, we want to believe that the deep state's going away. I'm like, yeah, no, the deep state's running the show for sure. No doubt in my mind. Yeah.
For sure. So that's all the ethereal stuff. Wanted to talk about protein for a minute.
Okay.
Because they changed the daily recommendation for protein from 0.8 grams per kilogram to almost doubling it to 1.2. And actually seniors need more because your body absorbs protein less efficiently. And so in that vein, the Bureau of Land Management has now revoked the bison leases for American prairie bison. And this is kind of a big deal because this was our Interior Department that came out and said, after a 3-year investigation, we are going to take the bison. We're not going to let the bison just randomly graze. So American Prairie has been grazing bison on 4 leases for about 3 years. And they have been, their idea, so in 2022 record, they approved a Montana bison grazing plan. The BLM noted that bison grazing is permitted on leases it administers in Colorado, New Mexico, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wyoming. And this group, American Prairie, it aims to connect 3.2 million acres, enough to support a healthy prairie ecosystem. So, you know, they're a nonprofit. They want to go back to bison on the prairie, but in a very large scale way. Well, you can imagine the cattlemen of America, and especially in Montana, sued them. The Montana Stock Growers Association said this is a huge win for public lands ranching in Montana. The BLM is going to restore grazing allotments back to their intended uses for production livestock grazing. This is really important because if you look at meat prices, they are very high, right? It's some of that has to do with the packaging and production because it's become a bit of a monopoly down to, I think, 4 major production and the cutting, the wrapping. But this is kind of a big deal. And so for RFK Jr., I've seen all the pushback in other articles where it says, do we really need this much extra protein? Is this really going overboard? And I'm like, don't we have like a 60% obesity rate because we're eating all the carbs? And RFK Jr. is like, no, there is science. And they're like, well, the science is varied. He's like, yeah, there is science to show that the more protein you eat, the healthy types of protein, the more it can help you manage body weight to an appropriate level. So I see this story about the cattle as integral to what we're trying to do to get more people to eat protein, have it more accessible, to have it at a lower price. And it says, they're thrilled. And I don't see, American Prairie calls it a troubling precedent. They're not interested in helping people have cheaper protein, but the cattlemen's industry is. So the organization previously titled the American Prairie Reserve has been in this fight with Republican politicians, and it has an influence on the cultural, land ownership, and property tax dynamics of central Montana. And so it's really the American Prairie critics, including United Property Owners of Montana, have rallied support for their cause under Save the Cowboy slogan. So it's a lot of big power politics here in the West, but it comes down to, are we going to have that protein available to us at a reasonable cost? And I think that's going to be the future going forward. More people interested in what's in their food
Hmm.
and the price of their
Right.
food. I think it's
Mm.
going to be huge. So I don't know. Do
Okay.
you eat more protein? Are you? in the-
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to limit, not oust carbs completely, but just limit the carbs and the amount of bread. And actually, I'm trying to increase protein for sure. There's liquid proteins you can take that taste like lemonade with zero sugar in them. There's all kinds
Ooh.
of ways to take in without taking in dairy. Yeah, yeah, I'm trying to for sure gain protein for sure.
Excellent. Well, that's really good. And, speaking of dairy,
Mhm.
the Trump administration, it was Donald Trump, they signed into law allowing whole milk to be served back to students again. It was during the Michelle Obama lunchroom reign of terror
The
that
Michael Obama food plan for our children.
the reign of lunchroom terror,
Yuck.
that they took the whole milk out
Oh,
of the
goodness.
lunchrooms, right?
Mm.
And our bodies recognize whole milk. Our bodies, I was listening
Recognize meat. Meat is good. Meat is good.
Meat?
We like meat.
the skim milk has
Yeah.
a harder time in our body being
Mhm.
absorbed and processed.
Hmm.
And anytime I see any of my children serving, partial fat milk to my grandkids, I always make a huge point that whole milk is good for all of us. I've been drinking it since I was a little girl.
Hmm.
And it does help with your maintaining a healthy weight because you feel full
Hmm.
with whole milk. That fat helps you feel full. And so you're not in a constant snacking.
Hmm.
So do you remember those cartons of milk? I remember
Yeah.
bringing those up to my classroom as a little girl, bringing
Yeah.
in all the milk cartons, and
Hmm.
just what a great memory that was. And who could have ever thought that we would be told that milk is not good for children? It's just incredible.
Well,
So
I can't imagine that people don't recognize that our gluten problem is a pretty recent thing, and it happened post the spraying of the fields with glyphosate numerous times per
Glyphosate.
day, and
Yes.
so no one wants to connect the two, and I'm like, we have a definite toxic problem going on. It's a poisoning. It's not a bread problem, because if you can go to Europe and eat the bread, it's not a bread problem. It's a poisoning problem attached to bread. So there's a difference. But yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah.
There's another gut, because it affects your gut, right? The glyphosate ends up killing off the
Yes.
bacteria or altering it.
Mhm.
There's another product that I became very aware of, which is the Parmesan cheese that you shake out of the container that we've all grew up with.
Mhm.
Has a filler in it.
Mhm.
Keep the cheese separated so it doesn't clump.
Yep.
And that is to prevent like the mold developing, but
Mhm.
that gets into your gut and then ends up also
Mhm.
having a negative effect. So if
Yes.
you want to do the Parmesan, you're supposed to grate it fresh, so that
Yes.
you're not eating the filler in that. And who knew these things? And they're like, oh, it's a conspiracy. No, it's a chemical in
Mhm.
the cheese. So all these things, it's like make the 1% difference. But speaking of liquids, I wanted to touch on this. There's an article out. It's enormous freshwater reservoir discovered off the East Coast. It says it may be 20,000 years old and big enough to supply New York City for 800 years. There's so much fresh water. First of all, let me just say, I used to live in New Jersey, outside of Philadelphia, about 20 miles in the Pine Barrens. And the Pine Barrens was an alluvial ancient forest of pines
Mhm.
sat on sand. And so underneath was a 1 trillion gallon aquifer of fresh water. Trillion
Mhm.
gallon. So here they're saying this, researchers have figured out how a giant freshwater reservoir ended up under the ocean off the East Coast. It's a secret freshwater reservoir. It can supply a city the size of New York for 800 years, may have formed
Mhm.
during the last age.
Mhm.
And now there would obviously be difficulty in accessing that. And I can't
Mhm.
imagine that desalinization wouldn't be just so much easier, since that's what they do in Saudi Arabia and other places. But, the fact that we are saying that we are running out of water, and as you know, you've done so many shows on groundwater.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
digging down. We don't have a water drought problem. We have a not being smart enough to figure out where our water's always come from problem.
Yeah. How the molecules are ancient.
Yeah.
They've always been here. As somebody said, the water you're drinking may have already passed through the colon of some famous person in history, right? But it says the research voyage, they had a research voyage, lasted 3 months, dredged up 13,000 gallons of water from beneath the seafloor in 3 locations off Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. So, this whole time that
Yep.
they've been putting windmills off
Mhm.
Martha's Vineyard,
Yeah.
been sitting on top of this. But it just goes to show you, and I wanted to bring it up because it really does prove the point
Mhm.
that it's just a matter of time and science and looking in the right places that we
Mhm.
can solve our water issue. And
Yeah.
it was linked to another article that said there is enough fresh water is lost from continents each year to meet the needs of 280 million people in the runoff. We know we have that problem in California where they've said, let it run to the ocean, the water
Mhm.
from the snowmelt,
Mhm.
instead of diverting it to refill aquifers and for crops, etc. So we know it's an issue of water management.
Well,
And
it's an issue of where we're getting it. So we're told in the school system that water only comes from rainfall, that it only comes from runoff, that it only comes from the sky, when we can clearly, and have for centuries upon centuries since Adam and Eve, dug down for water where it is endless, where we are drinking from certain water companies right now that have wells that are 1,400 years old. For a reason, is because we can tap into the water, but they don't want you to know that because the cities and counties across this country control it. And they are using it for plans that the deep state has advocated for, that and planned and manipulated, that they can use it to raise the cost of water and manipulate the amount of water we get in the future. So that's why they had to have control of it. And that's why they don't want us to think there's an endless supply down below our feet. And you have to, there's certain levels you can go to tap into these water supplies. When you drink all kinds of different sources of bottled water, actually in bottles, that come from other countries. One's from Russia, one's from Italy, one's in Alaska. They do it from wells that were created obviously from the dawn of time. They're able to tap into these wells still. So we have been conditioned to think in the public education system that it only comes from rainfall. And it's like, oh, pray for rain and then we'll have water. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're idiots. We're total morons. Look at where we've gotten it up to this point, and you'll see that there's a healthy source down there. God would never put us on this earth without enough water, or for government to control how much water, because it's the difference between life and death. God would have never done that to us. And so this is a definite manipulation by man, manipulation by the deep state in order to control it. So that's all I have to say about that.
oh no, it's such a good discussion, and it really does open your mind to the possibilities, and it makes you less fearful. So
Yeah.
I see people and friends post online, and people are like, the world is so scary right now. And and I
Mhm.
think it's because people don't understand the possibilities,
Mhm.
and the ways that we can be sufficient and defeat some of these practices. One of the practices I wanted to quickly talk about as we head out of this hour, an article in The Guardian called talking about human fracking.
Mhm.
How can we defend ourselves from the new plague of human fracking? And people must know that fracking is, when you do it for oil, you put water and other fluids down into the earth and then force out oil. You extract the oil by doing it that way.
Mhm.
But they're saying this is human fracking, and human
Mhm.
fracking is what the tech companies are doing to our attention.
Mhm.
They are constantly trying to grab our attention. And it says the stakes are existential. That's because our actual human attention is in the form our eyes on their screens is nothing less than our ability to care, our ability to think, our ability to give our minds, time, and senses to ourselves, the world, and each other. And I thought, wow, so the problem isn't the phone, the problem isn't social media. It's this capturing of our attention into, and the incursion into our human consciousness, our ability to care.
Yeah.
Look what it's made people care about that is actually kind of crazy stuff, right? And so how do we pull back from that? And it says, we can, first of all, just recognize it and recognize that's exactly what they're doing. They're human frackers. They don't really care about the consequence to us. They actually don't care. And so, but it's how they're getting into our minds, and it's called human fracking. And I thought, okay, that is actually a useful terminology to recognize the exploitation of not just us, but our kids.
It's better than zero dosed or unhoused.
Zero dose, yes, right. But there is a way we can help people care more. And the localization is a big way to care, is about caring about things locally, caring about the people in front of you. And I love that idea, but I like that this is coming to our consciousness. Human fracking. You're like, what? They're sucking our attention out of us? Actually, yes, they are. And
they're sucking our brains out of us. We're just moronic people.
Well, and then pouring in other stuff, right? And we're all susceptible. It's happened to all of us, but it's such a great time to be alive. The longer I'm at this, the better I feel about life.
Yeah.
How is that possible? And I think it's because I'm learning to care more about the right things, and the right things are people. That's what the right thing to care about is individuals.
Well, us people can do a whole lot. I know you were listening a little bit with Melissa, and it's just like that fire that's burning, and everybody wants the government to send fire trucks, and it's like they're not going to. They're just not going to. And so it's the neighborhood that saves the house. It's the people that save it. And when government throws a couple of buckets of water, it's not enough. And we know that. And we keep having this expectation that they're going to come to save the day. And not only will they not, they're not designed to. Government, as Christ told us, is always going to be run by a whole other entity, if you know what I mean. And it's never going to be the savior of us, but we have just certainly been so dumbed down to think that it will. And so we have just got to get to the point where we know the people save the day. The people have to actually be educated in order to do that, because right now we got a lot of brainless twits running around, and we just don't have the numbers, but we'll get there. We could get there, maybe, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. And through connection and having more interactions with each other. So one of the things that's driving this epidemic of loneliness, which I do really believe there are, is that people have withdrawn because anything that creates friction, they withdraw from. So the social media and the people involved at the highest level have wanted to cultivate this friction between people and this polarization. So people have just withdrawn. And that is the opposite of what will help us find happiness and solve our local and social problems, which is more engagement with individuals. And that's what we have to just get better at and more willing to do. I think that's part of the peacemaking process, individual peacemaking, and it really enjoying people. At the end of the day, when God put us on this earth, what did he give us? He gave us resources and then people, not television, not technology. He gave us people. And that's what we're supposed to be enjoying, I think.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And of course, be faithful, be fearless. Thanks, Susan. Be faithful, be fearless. See you back here tomorrow. I have a lot tomorrow. I'm going to show you what disinformation looks like out of the mouth of an ex-CIA agent. And I'll show you how they do it. And this was actually a guest on Candace's show. I'll show you how he did it. And then also I have the things in our blood If you do certain blood tests, you can actually know if cancer is on its way. And I've got so much for tomorrow. Data centers, and smart meters, and what Larry Fink said that kind of disclosed that whole shebang. So really appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow live, and you can call in and you can comment and all those good things. So can't wait to hear from you tomorrow. And same bat channel, same bat time at 2:00 Mountain, 4:00 Eastern. And I really am going to play this music again. Anyway, thanks, you guys. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the input on today's show, the comments and questions and all kinds of things. Thank you. See ya.